somewhere in California. We'll learn where fairly quickly, but just wanted to kind of get a lay of the land. I'm in a new space, so I kind of want to know what is where. Um, Hopefully you're able to hear me. I'm not sure if anybody's in yet, not seeing anybody yet, but we are in California. I'm finishing up my coffee, and we are going to see if we can scout out the area. So I'm going to turn you around for a second. To give you a bit of an idea, here's a church. It's the First Presbyterian Church of Santa Ana. First Presbyterian Church. Looks like a church, has church things. I think this is City Hall, the town center. Main Street's a block behind me. I'm going to walk down the street here a little bit. Well, hello, L. Ron. Howdy, Bridge. Howdy, Fuzzy. Hopefully you're able to hear me. It's been a long time, so folks, I'm going to need some coaching and some reminders. But we are, oh, look, another church. One of those things that looks like a church. But we're here at another, sadly, historic building in, I'm going to say downtown Santa Ana. It is the Church of Scientology, Orange County, I think is what its name is, but it's here in Santa Ana. We're at 505 Sycamore. We can go in and watch a free film. So this is an old Masonic temple, right? So again, just a corruption of a landmark. Now they're going to have to keep the landmark there. They've got a video here. Oh, elevators. We saw the Orange County. What's that over there? Not sure what the pagoda is there that they're showing in the photo. You notice there was nobody there, right? And here we are. All of the Dianetics books in all of the languages, right? The most published author in all the universe. Because when you own a publishing company, you can publish whatever you want to. We have the sandwich board out front. There's nothing here. There's nobody here. Scientology is the fastest growing religion in the world if you listen to a Scientologist. Oh my gosh. Look at all of the bundled Way to Happiness, and then you can see the Spanish version just below it, right? Oh, and look, you can purchase them, the Way to Happiness. Handbook for pre-clears. And as we come back across, let's see, what do we got here? Church of Scientology. All visitors must come in, right? Media can't do crap. Use of cameras inside is prohibited. Church is private property and reserves the right to refuse anybody. All are welcome, but they know they're going to refuse entry to people. Not sure if this is more of an apartment area. So it's a large building, the Masonic Temple, right? So we know that, right, the Freemasons, they have a somewhat storied and nefarious history, just the same as Scientology, very secretive in regards to what they're doing. You know, you'll see it through Scottish rites. So the mass part of this building is what, 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings tall, and there was a large space in front. Howdy, Michael. Great to see you. And as I've said, I'm probably going to need reminders of, oh yeah, I haven't been doing this for a while. You know what? I'm seeing signs here that I didn't see before. So we've got the married couple, evolution of a science, the Dianetics. I've seen that football one before. I think it was really popular just near the football Super Bowl season last year. Dianetics, the original thesis, so the fake maritime heroics of one L. Ron Hubbard. The story of book 1, Scientology, the Fundamentals of Thought, a new slant on life. So these are all books that we've seen before, heard of before. I'll say they have more of a variation here. Oh, isn't this the creepiest thing in the world? Children's communication course. Basic study manual. Boy, that children's communication course is bothersome. And again, Scientology saying, hey, please come and see us. It's a neat old town. You can tell that it's got a very Latin element to it. You can see a tall building here. I think this is a yeah, so they're going to go back in and hide. But nobody inside. So that person that snuck in, right, they were probably setting the meter. This might be a minister van, right, but it doesn't have the labeling of the minister van. Let's take a lap around real quick. Howdy Style, great to see you. I got your mail, and I definitely want to do some work on that. So save it. Yes, we're in Santa Ana, California. I believe we are south of Los Angeles. So this is the next building over. I don't know what's in there. It might be retail. That looks residential on top, or office building. Here's the back side of the Scientology building. I definitely want to do a story on the Can You Find Me a Lawyer for a Scientology case. I was able to get some information from Style Audit. Appreciate that. We're a block off of Main Street. No celebrities yet today. Now the celebrities, right, we know that most of the celebrities, well, they're in Clearwater doing their higher levels, or in California, they'll stop by the lounge of the Celebrity Center out there, way out there on Franklin. I believe it's out on Franklin. The Celebrity Center is actually hard to, like, you can't do much there because the buildings are set well back from the road. It's got an awful lot of greenery, shrubbery around that area, so that you can't, I don't think that you could do anything effective there. And California being principally a car culture, and celebrities not walking many places, and that's not a knock on celebrities, but right, just because of fame, it's a little bit too hard to be out in public. So they're going to drive onto the property all the time. There is also, yes, you're right, there is a large building, the International Base in Hemet, California, which is where Golden Era Productions is at. If you watch Blown for Good, employees only. I'm not sure if this is the backside of the org or not. Up here, I think it says dentist. Sorry, but yeah. So Mark and Claire both escaped from there. We've got Western Dental here. So yeah, I don't think that the person that we saw come out would have been associated with Scientology. I'll see if there's an alley between the buildings when we come back over here. There's definitely a cluster of churches here. It's long been thought that Shelley resides out in Hemet. Mitch Brisker spent a lot of time out there. That's where their filming studios are at. They have massive, yeah, so this is, excuse me, this is an alley behind the org. So the person that was coming out had, most likely nothing to do with Scientology. But then, oh, let's see what their dumpsters have. So they do have locks on their dumpsters. A lot of times, by the way, this isn't a Scientology thing necessarily. Historically, if you've got dumpsters, you're paying per time the truck comes out to empty that, and you don't want people putting, howdy Helger, you don't want people putting, loading up your dumpster so that you have to pay for the cartage on that. We're very near the Orange County Sheriff's Department, apparently, CSI. Let's see if we can count the heads again as we go past the org. We're going to go and we're going to count 0, holding 0, holding 0, and still 0. Yeah, when I came out here before, right, the person, and again, I'm being descriptive, I'm not being anything other than that. The person had an Asian look about her. She had her phone up to that meter, so most likely one of these two cars is either this van or that car is Scientology or a Scientologist. It's interesting here. 24-hour loading zone, 3-minute passenger, 20-minute freight. Anybody have the 311 for Santa Ana? Want to help them understand that they're parked in a loading zone? There's a little sign there, it's handwritten, that says quiet. Yeah, I can't tell much about either of these cars. I'm not seeing Sciento stickers on either one of them. MD, I'm up in Santa Ana. So my expectation is that this is a Class 5. I did no research, but just looking at it, I believe almost 100% that this is a Class 5 org. Yeah, we finally got them closing. Do you want to get the blinds too? Yeah, I will say that they are kind of a self-help group at the lowest levels. So you notice that she just came and closed the door. We'll see what happens. You know, I haven't been on the YouTubes forever. I'm about to get demonetized just because I haven't gotten enough hours anymore, and I don't post enough. So I don't know that Scientology really tracks me, but she definitely came out to close that door. So she's definitely aware of interbulation at this point in time. Sorry. So I kind of want to help. I'm going to say Husafel, and I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly. But at the lowest levels, they're a self-help group, and their self-promotion will always be that they're a helpful organization helping the community. You'll see them say that they're helping people in floods. But what they really do is they go and they set up a photo shoot at those places. They get all the pictures of all of their volunteer ministers in their yellow jackets and their Scientology garb. They take the picture, they break down, they run away. During Katrina, when basically all of New Orleans was underwater, Scientology's big benefit to the people that were in need was giving them a book called The Way to Happiness. So their number one priority wasn't reading a 20-page platitudes book. It was, I need help, right? And they'll claim humanitarian assistance. If you, darn it, what was the other, in the past year, maybe it was 2 years ago, they showed up, I think it was where the fires were at, and there was water. They were stealing the water. So they weren't doing a humanitarian, would bring water to people who are first responders and people in need of a fire, and the firefighters and the people who were fleeing their homes because they were being burned down. Scientology actually took from those spaces, right? So it really is a shame. And again, they have an incredibly good propaganda team. So it's I don't want to bring politics into it, but the idea that they can, facts be damned, we're going to tell you a story, and it may or may not be correct, but we're going to tell it boldly, and we're going to stand behind it, we're going to be proud about that story. So, there's a shameful element about it. It was very funny. I actually watched a short the other day, and it was from Scientology, and it was a male member. He would have been a staff org, because either staff org or Sea Org, because he had the uniform on. And with his uniform, he was asking questions, are Scientologists allowed to date other Scientologists? And he kind of fake runs away, but then all of a sudden he answers very profoundly, no, right? That they're allowed to date anybody. Are they allowed to be in any religion? Absolutely, which is a fairly true statement. If you take the lowest level courses in Scientology, sorry, we're going to walk around this building and I'm going to pontificate for a bit, then we'll head back over to the org. If you take the lowest level courses, right, how to do self-help, it's almost meditation, right? I'm going to say that it's introspection that they're trying to show in some of those classes. At that level, yes, you can be any religion you want to. You want to start becoming an actual Scientologist and an operating Thetan, or start up the bridge to total freedom, which is a fallacy. But if you want to start up the bridge to total freedom, yeah, now we're talking about there is no Jesus, there is no Muhammad, there is no there is no God. Scientology teaches people that they are the God. They just don't know that they've lost their power. And Scientology is the only group and technology that can lead you back to having your superpowers or your godlike abilities. There are 8 levels of operating Thetan. The 3rd level is the one that South Park touts so much, right? The beings from faraway galaxies and Prisoner Planet and the volcano, all of that fun stuff, which truly is part of their doctrine. It's that they lie to the lowest level people, the people who are the servants in this organization. They're never made aware of the fact that that doctrine exists. And when they get to that point, my expectation is they have to come to some understanding that, wow, my organization lied to me the whole time. Yeah, so this is the courthouse. We're seeing that here. Scientology is incredibly deceptive that way, that they're very, again, at the lowest levels, the self-help makes sense. But if you ever read The Way to Happiness, you would see that it's just stolen from all kinds of old Eastern philosophy and Eastern religions, the earliest Judeo-Christian principles, and they're claiming that they've discovered that, right? But at the end of the day, Scientology is really just trying to get you, it's whether you want to call it multi-level marketing or single-level marketing, they want to give you a little bit of the buzz, and then they want to bring you in, and you know what? You saw that there was a sandwich board out there that said, come and take a personality test, or come see a movie, come see a movie. Personality test is another thing that they'll do, but I didn't see that out in front today. But come see a movie. And this movie is going to kind of make you feel good about yourself, but it's one of those things like, if you know anything about cold readers, a cold reader is somebody who, by talking to you, they can get you to betray yourself a little bit and give information so that they can answer questions that are specific to you. And you think, oh my gosh. And at the end of the day, that's all the trickery of Scientology is at those lowest levels, right? Everybody has things that they could work on, right? If you do any self-introspection, for instance, myself, I could learn how to talk better, right? But there are places where you think you can get improvement. Scientology will kind of hone in on those elements of where you can get self-improvement, and then they'll say, we've got a book for that. Here, we've got a course for that. We can teach you how to do that. Oh, that looks like a suit. I'm far away, so I don't really know, but that might have been a suit coming out. But again, here now we're seeing, again, a broader view of the org. It's a beautiful building. It's a shame. One of the things that I really, really hated about Chicago was they took over an old printer's building. And again, fortunately, it has landmark status, so they can't do much to it. But also, they kind of usurp the aura and the history around the building. Somebody did peek out the door, and then they went back in. Okay, they're getting a delivery. I don't want to cross midstream. Well, I don't know about that style, but I'm sure as heck going to try. Saw a stouter person there, a little shorter, in all white. He came to help the mailman bring in his delivery. Yeah, so there he is. And again, as we look out, right? Hey, watch Scientology, Scientology.tv. You know, they bought a direct TV channel many, many moons ago. Anything positive to share about the church? No, nothing positive to share about the church? It's a cult, just so you know. I know. I just like to kind of get them to, you know how they... I know, it's fair enough. I agree with that. He had mentioned he tries to show mercy. Oh, look at all the little puppies. Ranking would be an interesting way of putting it. There is a hierarchy, 100%. That currently the leader, the undisputed de facto leader of the organization is David Miscavige. If you kind of pay attention to this, this community, you'll find out that there's Jenna Miscavige, who is his niece. She left Scientology probably 20 years ago. And she protests vehemently. His father protested vehemently. His father was very, very disappointed in getting David into, I think it's Ron Miscavige, very disappointed in getting David into the Scientology, and then Scientology, or he just grew up within that area. Anything positive to share about the church? So, 2 kids and a parent. Well, I'll say an adult. Yes, I made an assumption there. Hopefully you'll give me grace on that, that the highest likelihood of everything else is there. And there are, there's an organizational hierarchy. So there are people, there's a leader of this organization, but there's also private, like CIA arms or wings of Scientology. We call them OSA. Organization of Special, no, OSA. Special something. Oh, folks, I'm so bad at this nowadays. But OSA is kind of like the deceptive tactics trick leader. And they put a plant in every organization to kind of talk to the people who are here regularly. And by the way, right, we're not seeing anybody really here regularly. We did see people walk in. But you don't see people here regularly, but it's a snitch culture. And the Office of Special Affairs, thank you so much. That it's a snitch culture, and that Office of Special Affairs, I'm not sure where that person walked in from. I'm gonna walk down here, and I just wanna see if I can find Scientology. There's a parking lot over here. I just wanna see if I can find any cars that have decals or anything like that on the back. I also don't know if there are other buildings in in Santa Ana that are related to Scientology. There's going to be a director of operations at this organization who kind of reports up through the channels. There's a group of lieutenants in any organization. There is security, but they're usually, it's strange. They have this dotted line element where they have a great deal of power and almost no power. The security people at most of these organizations know nothing about Scientology. They're just paid bullies, right? And it's funny, as much as we want to think they want to keep people out, as much of their job to keep people out is, it's also to keep people in. Yep, so at the org, thanks Michael, they have the director of special affairs. And if you remember, right, 2 years ago on Memorial Day, we used the term docs, and I think we overused the term docs, that the director of special affairs had done their research. They knew who I was. They mentioned my name. They knew that I had drones. They mentioned to the officer that I had a drone and I had flown the drone over their buildings, which it turns out is 100% legal. Scientology nor the Chicago police own the airspace. Now, when you think about the orgs, this here is a class 5 org, and you can, I think you can get up to OT3 at a class 5, but then you've got to start moving. I can't remember where the delineation is. Eventually, you have to leave here and go to one of the flag land bases. And by the way, there's one on every continent. A couple of years ago, I visited the one on the African continent in South Africa. Here, they've got one on the West Coast. So Hollywood is a kind of a mega center for Scientology. You've got L. Ron Hubbard Way, you've got the Psychiatry Museum, you've got their information center, which the information center is what has basically been shut down for the last 2 years since is it Streets LA, and many people kind of got, what happened is Scientology got under Streets' skin, and Streets said, well, I'm going to make this challenging on you. And he basically made it his mission that he was going to stop that organization from recruiting. And very quickly, there were hundreds of people out there almost every night, and it was different people, right? So there were some core people, and then there were people that would come in rather frequently or infrequently, hey, what's going on here? They would protest. Okay, so this building, Bridge is helping us out here. She's saying that this building has basically been here for about 14 years. This would be an ideal org. So the expectation of Scientology is to bring all of these organizations up to the size of St. Hill. That's what the ideal org program was intended to do. They're O for all of them. Not one of these organizations is actually succeeding or gaining in membership or in any way achieving St. Hill status for Scientology. Kind of just looking around here, seeing what's going on. I want to see if anybody tries to peek out again. And again, I don't have an additional phone right now, so I can't call 311, but there definitely looks to be a vehicle that's been parked there. How long have we been live? We've been live for 30 minutes. That van has been there that entire time. Yeah, bridge, it was funny. I read one of the Google reviews, and the person, Michelle and Linda have been so great. I've been there for 13 years. I've learned so much, right? So, by the way, those are highly curated responses that they're getting. I tend to go onto those sites and give them an honest opinion, or at least educate the people who are going to those locations as to what Scientology is and pretends to be. Here again, you'll see that right on the outside, Church of Scientology, but the book, Dianetics, right? Oh, interesting. What is Dianetics? That if you were following us in the Chicago Book Festival, right, they would have the personality test, and they were selling Dianetics, and they were getting incredibly perturbed or interbulated that I was saying, hey, you know, there's Scientology, and the group actually went to the police and said, he keeps on telling the people that sit down that we're Scientology. And I explained to the police, A, I can tell the people whatever I want to, but B, they actually are Scientology. So here we see somebody coming in all black. It'll be intriguing. Again, you fall into the, is everybody a Scientologist when they're walking down the streets? And I'm going to say, no, that one's not. Yesterday we talked about this a little bit, that every single police officer said to them, he can do this. This is legal. It's his right to do that. He's not doing anything criminal. He's not doing anything physically assertive. He's not doing anything other than informing people of what he believes, which for the current time is a freedom that we have here in the United States. This is interesting, and again, because it's a historic building, what you're seeing here, let me see if I can come down a little bit. The two lights on either side have the Masonic emblems, right? The G with the square and compass, which are traditional builders or architectural elements related to the Masonic orders. And the stone has a relief cutting of the same element. Now, as we look over here, you see the two triangles in there. I know that one is KAS and one is CAS. One of them is communication. I can't remember what KAS is. Boy, I'm just terrible at these days. And this other pyramid that's the with the gradated lines is kind of showing the ascension up the bridge. Oh, hells, I wish I could be up in Chicago this week. I will tell you that I've gotten soft. I really like the warm weather in the south. So that's kind of nice. This morning I left my house and it was 39 degrees, which is not exactly common for South Florida. Yeah, Fuzzy's got a great point there, right? If you were to go to a Muslim or anybody of the Islamic faith and ask them for a Quran, they would give it to you without a second thought, right? If you were to go up to any Judeo-Christian organization and say, I want a Bible, they would give it to you without any second thought. The way that this organization survives is selling these books, right? So there's nothing for free. Now there's actually a Scientology reason for that, and the idea is you should always pay in kind, right? You never want to have an unequal transaction. If you get something, then you have to give something, right? You know what? I don't know if you guys could see that. I'm bad about that. The gentleman was out by the front desk there. So, yeah, the book fair. I have never been at any kind of Islamic or Muslim celebration or festival where I wasn't offered a free book, right? because they believe in their book and they know that their book actually, it can help people in that process, right? Whether or not you believe in religion, that's great. One thing I want to remind you is that this is not a religious order. That was something that was rather funny about oh, I forgot. What do we see there, folks? What do we see here, folks? Then we've got the light, and just past the light, at the other corner of the building, we've got another high-vis camera. MD Media, do you know anything about this? Howdy, Rebecca. Thanks for showing up. Hey, Kendra. Thank you for stopping by. One thing that we would see in Chicago is if we were out in front of the organization, they would route their members to the back door, and likewise, if we were able to go around to the back, they would route the members to the front door. That was one of my favorite things, is trying to catch them in their sneakiness, right? Just to portray them as the sneaky organization that they are. Hey, Rebecca, I wanted to go down to LA. It's a long trip for me from here. I might do that tomorrow night. And then, again, when it comes to Clearwater, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but I want to be the informative person when I'm out here. I don't want to be the person ridiculing the Scientologists and antagonizing them to create beef, right? I don't believe in what they do, but I do believe they have a right to do it. And I also have a right they have a right to inform everybody of what they want to do. Look, another camera. They have a right to inform everybody of what their beliefs are, and I have a right to inform everybody what my understanding of their beliefs are. Again, as I had mentioned a little bit earlier, walk-ins welcome, but that's not what I was going to say. Because I've been away from the channel so much, I haven't kept my watch hours up enough, and I believe that the YouTubes are going to take away my ability. Hi. The YouTubes are going to take away my ability to make my $3 every month. If this organization is like any other organization, then the vast majority of people that are coming here, like the earlier we saw 3 females walk in. I'm going to still say that one was an adult and there were 2 children. When those 3 came in, they're probably on course, and they had to do their 12 hours of study for the week, so they're going to go upstairs, right? All of these rooms upstairs shelter them from the public eye, and in sheltering them from the public eye, they do their coursework, but it's also the idea that Scientology is ashamed to know that they have these massive buildings that have no people here, right? No people, no money. No money, Scientology suffers. Dave Miscavige gets mad. Dave Miscavige tries to figure out, what can I do to whip this organization into shape, right? Oh, look. Another camera. All right, Everybody okay if I take a walk a couple of blocks down just to see some of the rest of this town while I'm here? We'll chat. If I see topics in the chat that I can help on, I'll definitely do so. I do appreciate everybody kind of showing up. Always nice, I appreciate it. Very kind. I've always been ecstatically pleased about the idea that it's always been civil interaction on this channel. Yes. Oh, you know what? I wonder, did anybody get a good picture of and I'm pretty sure it was a female. Now, it was borderline Pat, but I'm pretty sure it was a female in the all white. If anybody could kind of look at that, was that potentially Michelle or Linda? All of the reviews say that Michelle and Linda run this organization. Something else that when I landed here, I looked up Scientology, and there are 2 missions that are still shown on Google Maps as missions. However, they're both closed, right? So historically, the way that Scientology in the days of L. Ron Hubbard worked was that, I'm gonna go back here and press a button. In the days of L. Ron Hubbard, word of mouth and success were really the ways that the church grew, right? Or the cult of Scientology was growing. And you would go over to somebody's living room and they would just talk about it. It's like if you were familiar with the old world, you'd hear about they go to the salon, right? And several people would come in, they'd sit in your living room, they'd just listen to conversation and talk about things. Is Journey in this area? That interesting. And I think I saw her yesterday as well. And those became missions, right? Now, missions were essential because it was the intake mechanism for Scientology when L. Ron Hubbard was running it. When David Miscavige usurped control of Scientology, he didn't make money off of the missions. The missions were where all the money was being made. And since he wasn't able to make money, he did what he could to shut down the missions, right? So there were people that were as wealthy as Scientology was, because they were good recruiters. And again, in that day, it was much more of the multi-level marketing, where when you brought somebody in, it's either 10 or it's 15% of all the courses they take, you're going to get those, right? That's a lifetime recurring income. Coming past the Ronald Reagan Federal Building, that's recurring income. Another item that would happen is that you would sell books, and you would make so much money off of, I don't know if we really call it commission, or if you want to just call it the kickback of what's going on there. Howdy. Howdy. With the kickback was going on there, there were very powerful Scientologists, and they were powerful because they were wealthy and they were making money off of Scientology, and David Miscavige wasn't making that money, right? So there are definitely more limitations on what you can do as a Scientologist these days. Something that I'm going to do a program on again is the Dream Exchange out of Chicago, where Joe Cicala was one of the founding members of that. Joe Cicala, a prominently white person, claims to have been starting the only minority-owned stock exchange in finance. turns out, I think that he stopped right now, but Style has a little bit more information on that, and I'll have to do more research there. But all of the people that worked at the Chicago Scientology org also worked for Joe Sakala at DreamWorks. So if you go through any of their Facebook or their Instagram, they would show that they were both a DreamWorks or Dream Exchange, sorry movie stars, Dream Exchange, not DreamWorks. They were a Dream Exchange employee and a staff member of Scientology. And if you're a business owner and a Scientologist, there's an expectation that everybody, well, A, you're using Scientology's business administration mechanisms, and everybody that you're employing is taking some form of Scientology courses, right? Yeah, and so to Bridget's point, Park Ridge is not the poorest part of the Chicago suburbs. Got Nova Academy here. Again, we're kind of circumnavigating the Ronald Reagan building. Excuse me. It's a beautiful day out here in California. I'm guessing it's probably 65, 70 degrees right now. Little statuary here. I'm going to spell correct Helgier and say that I think she thinks is saying the news will affect the Sakala family. And yeah, that will be interesting. Now, as I was alluding to earlier, the propaganda in Scientology is so strong, and their ability to just disbelieve fact is, you know, that force is strong with those people. That he'll talk about how the court systems were interpolating them, they're against Scientology, they don't want to see Scientology succeed, and they don't want to see us freed from our prison planet, right? This is a neat town. I assume at some point in time it was a, oh, darn it. As missionaries go from town to town in the old days, there would have been a massive church here that would have been the start of everything that became the town and the businesses. I love these old buildings with the names in them, the Clausen Block, the Lawrence Building. Most likely those are the original business owners or the people that founded those businesses. Cafe Cultura. They have a cult cafe near the cult. I am not saying that Cafe Cultura is a cult, but it is interesting to see those 4 letters in a row. Sorry, I'm scrolling back up a little bit. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Yesterday, and again, been away for a long time. Yesterday I was kind of checking in to say, is there still an anti-Scientology scene in Hollywood? I would like to head over there tomorrow, but I don't know if it'll be a solo venture. And again, here, absolutely a solo venture. We're not seeing body routers. I've only got about 20 people in here, so I don't think I'm going to be surprising anyone, but right, body routing are the people that walk around the streets They try to engage with people that are pedestrians walking along and hand them flyers to entice them to try and come into the organization, right? They're going to try and bring them the Scientology TV. They're going to say, here, come and watch a movie, take the personality test, right? Whatever they can do to get somebody to come in. That Way to Happiness book, Drug-Free America is another one of their books. They have an awful lot of public-facing organizations that seem charitable, but they are not charitable. They are loss leaders to try to trick people into getting inside the doors. And it's very funny, if you listen to an ex-Scientologist, hello, Twyla. Howdy, Power Live, that's great to see you. One of the things that you listen to the ex-Scientologists, that the person that's on the street that is trying to get you to go back to the organization, their job is done once you start walking towards the organization. Once you walk in the organization, there is a hard transition to, oh, great, now the person that's either at the front desk or somebody who's in that front lobby is going to try to get you to sit down in one of those booths and listen to regale you with great tales of L. Ron Hubbard and the Navy, howdy, where he torpedoed a log thinking it was a submarine, right? He was not a great naval commander. He was reprimanded fairly frequently. He eventually was drummed out. Basically, thank you. Basically, he was drummed out on mental. There were elements of it that were, he was not mentally fit to be in the org, and he had physical ailments, which is very interesting because he touts that Scientology is the thing that can fix your mind, and he touts that Scientology is the thing that can fix your body, right? So, hey, physician, heal thyself. Howdy, Kathy. Great seeing you. And yes, it was empty. Now, I will say that my blinds control seems to have weakened, right? So I've gotten soft, as I've told the people. But we were able to get them to close the front door. This is a neat town, and I'm going to say that the vast majority of this town has retail at the street level. Yes, there are some vacancies, but one heck of a lot of it is populated retail fronts. We saw services like tattoo, food and bar. Just heard a big boom down here. Not sure if it was a backfire or something like that. Just kind of scanned jewelry store, clothing stores. So there's definitely business right here. I have not seen anybody outside of the organization walking the sidewalks. Now, when I got here, it was 1:30, right? How many people are walking around the area at 1:30 in the afternoon? No idea, right? Does it pick up in the evenings? You know, is this, this isn't quite like the Chicago area where you had a cluster of restaurants right there, or when you're in Clearwater, you've got that main drag in Clearwater with all of the restaurants that are there, and the streets are just filled with people, so it's a target-rich environment for Scientology. Here, I'm just not seeing a lot of pedestrian traffic. Hell, that's fair. Well, listen, I'm going to say that I'm sad that a business didn't succeed, but I'm going to say that a business that wanted to give shelter to Scientology, yeah, I'm not crushed. Wait, folks, this is what, the fourth or fifth time that we walked past this front of the building. So if you can all help me again, let's count the people that we see inside. Carry the 7, 0 people. And here, looking at the books, 0 people. And here, so that sign says open. By the way, I'm very careful not to walk across that line. I don't want the ability to have a trespass, but that sign says open, so I wonder if that's a course room where auditing would take place. Right? Auditing, another creepy element of Scientology, right? You're going to sit there, you're going to hold on to 2 Campbell soup cans. I apologize. I don't mean to denigrate Campbell soup, but you're going to hang on to 2 metal cans. They've got a resistive capacitor in there, and as your body emits electricity, you're going to make a needle move, and they're going to ask you questions, and they're going to ask you the most invasive questions. They will ask you explicit questions, questions that no child should ever be asked. Oh, so she's changed? Oh, wow. So our front person, has folders, all the folders, but also the person that was wearing all white earlier now has a black coat on. So I'm taking off my coats here. Let's see. I don't know is it a birthday cake? Is that like one of the last L. Ron Hubbard? Oh, you can't see because of the shade here, or the sun is reflecting off here. But he's standing in front of a very large cake that's multi-layered with candles on it. And then the woman just walked into a room to kind of get out of the way of camera. Remember, that's another reason why people don't want to be caught on camera, that you get penalized from Scientology leadership being caught on camera because they don't want to have to explain to your other family who finally finds out where you're at. And also, just to that same point, the reason they're not supposed to be on camera is that if your family sees you on one of these, they find out where you're at. These people are disconnected from their non-Scientology family. Their family doesn't oftentimes know where they're at. It gets even uglier when you want to listen to a story like Serge Del Mar, Lara FM. Lara FM has, on a couple of occasions, been able to interact with her father. Her father is still in Scientology. She has been out of Scientology for a long time. Serge Del Mar started Scientology in Mexico. He crossed a border. He was an auditor. He was highly trained in the auditing. So there's the Bridge to Total Freedom on one side, and then there's the worker side of the bridge, which is helping you become a master auditor so that you can make money for the organization in that auditing process. And again, it's one of those places where, as a child, you're going to hear things that no child should hear. No adult should hear that stuff, but definitely no child should hear that stuff. It's interesting. This has that 1970s feel of the sunken lobby. Looks like it's both a dentist and community health care. Howdy, Amy. Welcome in. So the person behind me has a computer, highly unlikely. That's somebody that is in any way related to Scientology. I'm gonna go ahead and cross the street here. You can see the mountains in the background there. It's interesting, the higher mountains over there, and I have no idea which set of mountains that is, but the higher mountains are snow-capped. Reminds me of back in the day, I used to watch a show called Eight is Enough with Dick Van Patten and Grant Goodeve. Who else is on that show? Oh, the little kid, Adam something. He kind of became a Willis or a Ricky Schroeder type character. But anyhow, one day they had Christmas and they lived in Sacramento, and they said, hey, let's drive into the mountains. They grabbed snowballs and came back home. So that's one of the things that's kind of interesting out here on the West Coast, is that you're that close to the beach, and it can be 80 degrees at the beach and 20 degrees up in those mountains with snow. Now, I'll say that because this org is so close to where I'm staying, I might go back, have dinner with some friends, and then come back out here tonight just to see if there are people on course, right? Now, the vast majority of public members, now the people that would come to this organization live in the area and they're paying for Scientology. They come to the organization to take their classes. So there will be people that are here on course, and we'll just see if they show up. Now, the reason I brought that up is that most of them have to have a real job to make money so that they can dump that money back into Scientology. And then they come here to spend that money, but then that means that courses don't really start until 5 p.m., 7 p.m., and go as late as 10 o'clock. Yeah, so Gary Coleman was one, but there was another one, Adam, it might be Adam Rich, I'm not positive, but he was the youngest son on Eight is Enough. And he had that little stint of childhood stardom back in the day. Hey, Jojo. Santa Ana police are here. It'll be interesting. They just drove by, didn't really stop, didn't really slow down, so I have no, there's no correlation that they might have been, sorry, there's a little baby up ahead here. There's no indication that the officer was called or was doing something on behalf of Scientology. Those kids that were here earlier could easily also be doing the niacin treatment. Somebody's going to remind me of what that program is called. Oh, she's actually on the phone. She was talking to somebody. Not sure who she's talking to. And again, maybe that's Michelle. Maybe that's Linda. Maybe it's just somebody else. Maybe it's the DSA. You never can tell these days. We've got it's a bookstore, right? Not a church. I heard another very interesting story on the idea of Mormonism and Judaism, because in Judaism, and not 100% of the time, but many times, you pay a fee to be part of a temple. So you're paying some amount of money to be a member of that church. Different than tithing. It's not a voluntary element. You're paying it, right? And in that situation, it's a quid pro quo transaction. And if there is a quid pro quo transaction, there's a belief that it can't be a charitable organization and tax exempt. it's a business, right? In that scenario. And the similar element was for the Mormons, that there was a quid pro quo element to that. And Scientology fought tooth and nail against that process because of all of the book selling and the coursework that has to take place here in that spot. Here's another interesting fact for anybody, and again, I know all of you here, so you're not going to know that, but she keeps on walking in that room, right? She has to be out of sight of the camera. One thing she wouldn't know is that because there's so much sun right now and the sun's behind me, there's a lot of glare on that window. But darn it, what was I going to say here? Oh, the people that are in this building most likely cannot watch me, right? So it would be in turbulation for them to watch me. So the people in this building, now, unless they're part of OSA, highly unlikely that they can watch the channel, right? Now, OSA might watch the channel. OSA is not watching me. I've been too gone, too long, all of that fun stuff, right? But there were times when I assure you, OSA was looking at the recording and saying, hey, he's on the way over there, get ready, right? One of the things that I was rather prideful about in Chicago is that after, I think I was protesting for 2 years, might not have been that, but I was out there quite regularly for quite some time, that there were no new starts in Scientology attributed to the Chicago organization. And I really want to say that all of the people that were out there on a consistent basis, right, informing the public as to what was going on inside of there, were helping to prevent Scientology from getting that hold in their neighborhood. So, hey, Scientology, you want to spend the money? Spend the money. We're not going to allow you to make the money, right? So this sign, and again, I don't know if you can see it or not. I can't get that close to the building because I don't want to cross their line. But that sign is the sandwich board that says, come on in, open house, right? Now, again, we are coming up, we're over an hour. Having been here an hour, this is a loading zone. So this vehicle should not be here. And I wonder if a call to the non-emergency line would bring somebody out to get that vehicle ticketed or removed. Yeah, they are pretty good about doing all the crimes. This is interesting. So there's a sign on this. You can probably see it there, right? To purchase, please see the bookstore officer. But then also, right, we're seeing that this is a prominent place where people should be sitting and have that welcoming look, the smile set for all the people that are on the street, curious about what's going on here, right? But there is nobody here to help greet or entice people to come in. Let me see if I can read the other sign. Oh, we're Scientology. I can't tell what else it says, but it says, we're Scientology, come in to purchase a book. And again, I'll just show you one of the scariest books that I've seen so far here. Howdy, Spock, great to see you. Children's Communication Course, based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard. And I'm just going to guess that that is the Spanish language version of it. And then, yeah, we got basic study manual. Oops, sorry. Down there we've got Basic Study Manual, and that looks to be a Spanish version of the manual Basic Estudio. And hopefully you all realize that I can't speak Spanish. All right, folks, I know that most of you are subscribed, and that's probably the only reason you're seeing this and you came in. Great, I appreciate it. I am going to take a break. I'm going to go back to the hotel, grab a meal, charge up all the equipment. Again, I'm away from home, so I don't have all of my cool batteries and stuff like that. But I am going to head back home, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and then I will, let's see here. There is a better than 50% chance that I'll come back out here this evening and see if we can find anybody who is on course, right, or after 5 p.m. All right, hope you're all doing well. Stay safe. I remember, I think it's Stephen Dubner. If you can, take care of, or no, please take care of yourself. And if you can, take care of somebody else too. So there you have it. Now we've seen Santa Ana. Amy, I hope so too. You know what? I don't have contact information for them. I might be able to get down there Thursday night, but it's a really tight connection between that and the, it's a very tight connection between that and getting to my flight on Thursday night. So yeah, I'm heading back on Thursday. But Amy, if you have any information for them, please share my email to them, and I'll see if A, they can get up here, or B, if I can get down there, or if they can help me get down there. That was another thing. I think like an Uber to get from here to there is a little over $100. And I'm not exactly made of money to that degree. But thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, Fuzzy, for helping out. Thank you for always jumping in. Great to see everybody. Bridge, great to see you. And I will talk to you between now and July. Thank you all.